Welcome back to the Healthy with Heartland podcast. My name's Justin Freishtat. I am your host. Also joined with your favorite creative directors and co-hosts today, Simon and Shannon. How you doing?
Doing good.
Hi, folks. Another healthy day with Heartland.
Yes, it is. So today we're going to be talking about water quality, filtering your water, all things about water, maybe some other fun stuff. But before we get into that, let's send it over to Simon and Shannon for some announcements.
Awesome. Welcome back, Heartland family. Only one day left to take advantage of our reorder special this month. So you can get our True North Seafood salmon burgers along with your reorder absolutely free. We'll have another awesome reorder special coming to you in October, so look out for that. If you are not a member of our Heartland Foodies group, make sure you go ahead and join now. Let us know what's for dinner. We love seeing your amazing food photos, and we're also doing a giveaway of Heartland Farm Source products when we reach 5,000 members. So be sure to check that out. You can even be featured in a post or on the podcast. And in other news, if you have not scheduled your Heartland pop-up, make sure to check that out as soon as possible. We would love to get you booked for this upcoming fall season of October and November. So definitely check that out. And with that, let's get into the podcast.
So I've got some trivia for the both of you to start, some surprise trivia here.
Let's do it. I love surprise trivia.
Yeah. So first, I'm just going to give you a statement, and then we're going to break it down. So over 70% of your body is made of water.
Okay.
So what part of your body is mostly made of water by percentage?
What percent of your body is mostly made by water?
I'm going to go with your brain.
Oh, wow. That was a good one. Shoot. I was overthinking it because first I was thinking your muscle because you got a lot of that. And then I was thinking your blood. Your
muscle?
Blood.
Wow. I love this. So muscle up there at 75%.
Okay.
But it's a tie for first.
Okay.
And it's your blood.
No.
Yep.
No
and your
way.
brain.
No way.
Drop the bomb.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Wow. That was a good one.
I like those trivias where you can tie.
Yeah.
That's good.
That was just so beautiful.
That
End
was.
the podcast. We're done for the day.
That's it.
That was awesome.
No, that's very cool. So your blood and your brain. When I kind of thought about it, it was like, your other than, the rest of your body, which you have, your skin and things like that. Like other than that, I feel like your brain, obviously it's in your skull. So it had to be your brain. I didn't know the thing about the water though. Because, when you look at your blood, sometimes it's kind of like thicker. It's kind of like plasma. I guess that makes sense though.
Yeah. Well,
it's a liquid.
Yeah, you got fluids running all throughout, your body, right? So that initially my thought on water went to that. And then a lot of you have skin, you have bone, but like you have a lot of muscle. I mean, or at least if you don't, you want a lot of muscle. So, I could see how that could, and a lot, and then too, like what came into mind is like water weight. Like I know like a lot, like, and I think, and I don't know, don't quote me, but I think like your muscles can hold on to water too. And I know like your cells just in general can hold on to water too. So I don't know. It was a lucky guess. We'll chalk it up to that.
Yeah. I feel like it's just super, super important, right?
Yeah.
I mean, your body's made so much of water. Like when you're dehydrated, everything fails. Your muscles fail, your brain fails, all these things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what we don't really talk about much is the quality of that water that's entering all those systems.
Yes.
That's a huge part of it.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned a couple of the systems, but we all kind of mentioned skin. And I know like your skin comes in contact with water all the time when you're washing your hands, you're taking a shower, you give your dog a bath. There's so many different times where you're coming in contact with water and you don't normally think about necessarily the quality when those, those everyday things are kind of happening.
Yeah. Because you're going to absorb all that.
Yeah.
Whatever's in it.
Yeah.
This is the Bruce Lee episode. Be water, my friend.
No, but your skin, I think, is your largest organ.
Yes.
And so it will absorb, not only what you put on it, but, what it comes in contact with.
Yep.
Yeah. One of the things that really isn't being talked about that I think makes water more important than ever to address the quality of your water. Everybody knows like GMOs, glyphosate, and, the big lawsuits against the Roundup producers.
Right.
But what isn't being talked about is you don't want to eat that stuff, but when you spray that in the fields, mass like all over this country, what happens to it? It goes into the soil, which goes into the groundwater, right? Mm-hmm. And all that stuff is in our water now.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, well, and that's in terms of like agriculture. That's just one aspect, right? Because pharmaceuticals, I know, is another huge one. And and that ends up in your water as well.
Yeah.
You know, how many different ways does that happen? And then of course the different chemicals, like you think home, like your home water, like the water coming out of your pipes at home, right? Like those pipes were built how long ago?
Who knows? I mean, well, if you're an older house, or even if you're in a newer house, the piping still, like, the water is going to absorb the material that it's going through. When you talk about plastic bottles, it's the same thing, right? Water in plastic bottles is
whatever contains the water can,
it absorbs it.
Yeah, can affect the water. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge topic when you think about it, because I think a lot of people are paying attention to other aspects in their health. But when you think, I mean, it's sad to say, like, I don't know if it's sad, but I remember when I was younger drinking out of the hose. You know what I mean? Like, you're outside playing and all of a sudden there's just water there and you're
drinking out of the sprinkler.
I'm just going to drink it. And then now you think about that and you're like, what? Like, do you know all the things that were in your water at that time? Like, you're young at the time, so you're not really thinking about that. But now, as you get older, it's like one of those things. It's huge. The quality of it is by far, I think, the highest level. And we go through, and not saying that we don't drink plastic water. We try to, plastic water. Drink
water out of
water
plastic bottles.
But it's one of those things we try to get better at and
minimize it.
Yeah,
as much
and
as
really
possible.
drink out of filtered water.
Yeah, I mean, we talk all the time about the quality of food and how that is super important for your body, your overall health. But then we talk about air quality. We've talked about water a little bit, so it's a combination of all those things that contributes to your overall health. But sometimes water can kind of go to the wayside. Maybe too, like Justin mentioned, you're thinking about it in terms of like drinking it, but not in terms of like washing your clothes or your dishes or yourself in the shower and the bath and things like that.
You bring up a great point, because I'm guilty as charged, right? So I care about the water that I'm drinking, but then you go to the shower or you go, you know what I mean? Like, and you're doing that. And if you don't have water filtration,
filtration,
you're absorbing it in multiple different places. At the gyms, I mean, if your gym doesn't have this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? If you're taking a shower there or you're drinking the water faucet there as you're working out,
like
if you're not paying attention to it.
Right.
That's why I think a lot. I know, like, Dave at his gym, he had a water filtration system that was
the flow water machine.
Flow water,
that's
right?
the best one there is.
Yeah.
Nice.
I want to put one in my house.
Yeah.
Because it's got that activated banana carbon, makes it taste so good after it's been through like 5 different layers of filtration.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into it, but I'm really interested too to there's so many different things that are in the water too.
Right.
If
If you're watching the podcast, put in the comments what type of water you're drinking, and let us know. Like, I'd like to know, like, what different types of water people are drinking, or if you have water filtration, let us know.
Yeah.
In the comment section.
A lot of different types, a lot of ways to do it.
Yep.
But I think the number one thing is address it.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many reasons to address it. The thing for me the most was when I realized, on city water, if you ever, when they go through phases, sometimes you can smell the chlorine, sometimes you can't.
Yep.
But when you're in the shower, the hot water heater is heating up the chlorine and turning it into a gas. That's why you smell it.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, now I'm breathing in toxic fumes every time I take a shower. That just had to go.
Wow. Yeah, and I know, like, just the other day, Justin, you were posting in the foodie group, and you showed doing I think it was the change on the pre-filter. It wasn't even like your main unit, and just like the difference, and that was just visible particles, correct?
Yeah. So every year when I change that filter, I'm just reminded of how important this is. That 5 micron filter literally only takes out dirt and sediment, right? Like visible stuff that is in there.
Right.
So that's not even before you get into bacteria, volatile organic compounds, pharmaceuticals, like you said.
Yeah.
All that stuff goes through that pre-filter and then into the main media where it gets filtered. So not only are people exposing themselves to all those things, they're also bathing in dirt.
Yep. Wow. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because you don't think about that every day. You just go into the shower and you just, you wash and you come out and you dry off and you're like, oh, hey. And then also, I don't have like eczema or anything like that, but I notice my skin is a little bit drier as you come out of the shower. And I think that's also related to the chlorine and the chemicals that are in the water.
Yeah.
As you come out, you can start to notice. And then what do? You go and you put lotion or some sort of like other chemical that you're absorbing. That's why, and it's important also to pay attention to the chemicals that are in other things that you're using as well.
Products,
but
yeah, to that point, that's why women specifically love whole house systems.
Yeah.
Because when you pull out the chemicals and you get the pH alkaline, it's better for your skin, hair, nails, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. the neutrality, instead of it being like acidic or basic to your skin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Has a softening effect. But I'm going to give my favorite fear stat here from the Council on Environmental Quality.
Let's do it.
Cancer risk among people drinking chlorinated water is 93% higher than those who do not.
Wow.
That's it.
That's
a
enough
wild
of a
stat.
reason for me. All right.
Wow.
Yep.
We should
Crazy.
take David Anderson's advice from his post. He said, as Dave Matthews said, don't drink the water.
Dave's always come with that fire.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I know maybe we could talk about some of the things that are found in the water. We mentioned a couple of them. We talked about visible sediment, and then you talked about VOCs, which stands for volatile organic compounds,
Yep.
right? So we'll talk a little bit about those. But it could be anything from, like Justin mentioned, odors and chlorine, all the way to like rusts and some words I can't even pronounce them.
I mean, you name it, right? Herbicides, insecticides, lead, bacteria, asbestos,
Yep.
E. coli. I mean,
Sulfur.
it's all in there because they don't filter it. They just purify it, as they say, or kill it with chemicals,
Right.
Yeah.
essentially. So, yeah, I mean, wells have their own issues, but most of us are on city water, and city water is just unacceptable. Like it just is. I have not had one zip code that I plugged into municipalities for people that want like a water report. And if you want one, just DM me water and your zip code,
Right.
and I'll send you the environmental working group's report on your water.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. I mean, right in my water supply,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're living in what's supposed to be pretty good infrastructure.
Yeah.
You know, there
Right.
shouldn't be 300 times the amount of cancer-causing chemicals in my water that's allowed. And
Yeah.
it's straight up
Point
in
blank.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, how does that pass through whatever inspections are going on? You know, like how is that okay?
Well, you got to wonder because the water travels so far.
Yep.
It's
That's
like,
true.
where's it being picked up? Maybe it leaves in a decent shape, and then it's through old piping and
Exactly.
things that are seeping into the pipes along the way. And
Exactly.
it's hard to say where it all comes from, but
Right.
the one of the things that I was reading about was just how the water cycle, you know, whatever we do on the land
Mm-hmm.
gets absorbed up into the atmosphere, and then it rains back down in other places all over us, and then it's in the aquifers, it's in the water supply. I mean, we only get one set of water for the whole planet, and it all gets recycled.
Yeah.
So the more
It evaporates, it rains again.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the more environmental toxins we inject into the world, the more it's going to be in our water.
It's coming back to us. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's never been a more important time to lower your environmental toxic load in general, having to do with air, water, food. You know, you gotta get it clean from all directions, because it's not one thing that's going to kill you, or a lot of things that are going to kill you. It's
Right.
the total load
Mhm.
that you put on yourself over time will eventually catch up to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it says water can flow through miles of pipes. So sometimes 40, 50, 60 or more. Oh, the pipes can be 40, 50, 60 or more years old.
Yeah.
And it could be traveling 40, 50, 60 miles before
Right.
it's even getting to you. So even if you're okay with whatever the situation might be in your neighborhood or your area, I mean, you might really not know where the water's coming from at the end of the day.
No. And
Wow.
I went to, again, Senor Googles for this, but if your drinking water is coming from lakes, rivers, and groundwater,
Mhm.
most Americans, the water flows from intake points to a treatment plant, a storage tank, and then to your houses through various pipe systems. So it seems like there's a lot of, you know what I mean, like particulars that it has to go through where, you know what I mean, it could be subject to,
Before it even gets to you.
yeah.
And then in holding tanks, you're thinking, okay, so what are they holding it in, right?
Yeah. 'Cause
What
it can
kind of
be
material
absorbing.
is that? And then
I
how
know
long
bacteria can grow in there.
how long is it being held there?
Yep.
Yeah, what else does it come in contact at that point?
Right.
Yeah, and how long is it being stored there? Because you hear too, like, this is kind of off topic, but like you hear about like cases of like water that sits in like warehouses for like years and years and years before they even get onto the shelf, and then you wonder why like there's such an elevated level of like plastics and things like that, and yeah, it's just crazy.
Yep.
It's
Yeah, just get yourself like one of those metal water bottles, you know,
yeah,
refill it.
mm-hmm.
I mean, the bottled water, just try not to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, but
Well, I mean, I feel like we're we're conditioned
Yeah.
now at this point. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, I'm not drinking out of the faucet. So
Mhm.
then, you know, what's the next most convenient thing, other than, of course, already having it installed, like a water filtration installed in your home.
Right.
The next easiest thing is, I can pick it up at the store.
You just buy a bottle of water.
Just get bottled water, exactly.
And it's already bottled and it's ready to go.
Right.
Yeah. So again,
and they kind of changed marketing on that as well. A lot of places are now doing cardboard, and I guess we haven't seen the effects.
Glass bottles, cardboard bottles, or boxes, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're finding different ways to package water. Again, kind of got off topic, but yeah, at least that's a step in the right direction, I guess.
Until we find out
what's wrong with those things as well.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, so if you could have your own filtration and be able to not have to purchase bottled water and things like that, you pretty much be better off.
Yeah. I would be interested in a study of finding out, how much you're spending on bottled water and your
especially if you're buying good quality bottled water.
Carico did one of those. I can't remember what the number is, but the average family, what they spend on bottled water, if they cut that out and got a whole house water system, it would pay for itself in 2 years.
Yeah. I believe it, because water is expensive. And then if you're buying cases of it, and again, like, my own personal experience, we're only 2 people. So it's how much water can you really drink? But if you think about a family who's drinking water, maybe your kids are in sports, things like that. So yeah, you could go through some water.
Yep.
There's so many other benefits too. Like when you filter your water, that means all of the appliances in your home are getting clean water.
Yeah.
They're going to, it's going to allow them to last longer.
Yep.
I've seen lots of houses I've been into where you can see like the erosion and corroding from hard water. And I've seen people go through, a dishwasher every other year.
Oh my goodness.
Because the water is just crushing it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
You think about the showers, and in the shower, just the water that's like, building up from that hard water, all the, the different, like if you're not cleaning it on a regular basis, you'll see like the water, like those things start to turn black or like mold or something like that. You know what I mean? From that's
a big one. We noticed that right away. All the scaling and build up in the shower, gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't happen after whole house system.
Right.
Wow. And it's probably just because the quality of the water, you're not bringing those things in along with the water, right? It's just clean water.
Yeah. And you think it's the way it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think we're limited to our ignorance, because if you don't know, you know what I mean? And that's the beauty of the podcast and putting this information out there. If you didn't know, you can go and check, or you can reach out, like Justin said, reach out to Justin, send him a DM and say, hey, what am I finding in my water? You know what I mean? This is where I live.
Find out what's actually in, your water.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can make a better decision about how you can fix it, right, Justin?
Yeah, and there's so many things you can do. If you don't want to invest in a whole house system, get a on the counter Berkey.
Yeah.
Like just do something.
Right.
If you just have the filter in your fridge, well, make sure you change it often. There's little things you can do. At least start there, so you're ingesting clean water.
Right.
But ultimately, you do want to bathe in clean water too.
Yeah.
And it's nice, wake up middle of the night, you want some water. I walk right to the bathroom and I get water out of the faucet.
Yeah.
Technically, it's like, I don't want the dog drinking out of the toilet, but I don't feel as bad when he does it because it's clean toilet water.
Yeah. Right.
It's probably better for him than most people's drinking water. Right?
Yeah, literally.
Better for your body, like you said, better in the shower, better for your animals, and then cleaning clothes, cleaning dishes. You just don't have to worry about, all that extra added stuff being in there that you don't know about.
Yep. And there's a lot you can do with water. So I think people get overwhelmed when they do research. Should I do the UV? Should I get reverse osmosis?
Right. There's so many kinds.
There's so much you can do. I've kind of come to the conclusion that less is more with this. You don't need ultraviolet. You don't need RO. It's nice, but it's extremely expensive. If you really want to go the extra mile, you can get an RO point of view system. RO's reverse osmosis. So that is going to basically eliminate, that's as clean as you can get your water. But if you just did a basic whole house carbon filtration, right where the water comes into the house, they install it at the point of use before it goes into your hot water heater. So you're extending the shelf life of your hot water heater. It's going to be 99% clean water coming into your house. A whole house carbon will virtually reduce all the VOCs very close to zero. It's not perfect like RO, but again, we're just trying to reduce toxic load. So if I can take that, 300x of what's directly linked to cancer down to like 0.1, I'm happy with that. Right. So that's what I did. I just did a whole house system. Yes, I can sell you RO. I can sell you hydrofiners. ultra finers. You don't need a softener before it where you have to dump all the salt. People get worried about the maintenance. Our new systems are one maintenance every 6 years. That's all you do if you just do whole house carbon. So, eliminate some of those things that make you think like, oh, I'm getting into something that's going to be a pain in the butt.
Right.
It's not necessarily true. I can make it a pain in the butt though. If you
Lots of different options is what it sounds like. There's probably something for everybody.
Yeah. Lots of it's overkill. I mean, I don't think you need to UV zap your water, but you can.
But what's the alternative when you think about it, right? You're saying, oh, I guess some people would think, I'm going to get into, what I'm going to have to change my my filter so often. I'm going to have to do. Well, what's the alternative?
You're going to buy bottled water, or you're going to drink the sink water,
or you're going to be bathing with these chemicals, and then there's statistics out there that are telling you this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, does it happen to everyone? Maybe not.
And
but still, there's a chance.
I should have taken a picture too of the video that you had done with at the end when you held up the dirty filter and the new filter because it's bright white to it's brown and it's just visually it's such an image that you're like, wow, I know the first time I saw you change it, I think it was last year, and I was just so surprised that there was sand, silt, dirt, all the stuff that was in there, and I'm just like, wow. So if I don't have one of those, that's what I got going on.
And that's just the prerequisite to get into the filtration system.
That's what I mean. That wasn't even the full filtration. That was just the stuff that we could see with our eyes.
5 microns is what that's taken.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. Justin, have you noticed, I guess, because you've had it for a while now, did you notice a difference immediately after putting it in? The water filtration system, was there a huge difference, right off the bat?
Instantly. Yeah. Instantly. Yeah. Because
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to get the water that's in the pipes out. And then, instantly, no smell, no odor. I mean, we had some serious chlorine smell.
Really? Wow.
But it wasn't all the time. I don't know what they do in those municipalities. Maybe they shock it every now and then. Sometimes that water would come through and my wife would be showering. I could smell chlorine. I'm not even in the shower.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So again, every area has different issues. Some people don't have any chlorine issues at all, but you may have bacteria, fungi. There's so much stuff that could be in the water.
Sulfur's a big one too, right?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say they have water that smells like sulfur.
Yeah. That's more so with the wells.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wells have serious hard water issues. That's why if you do have a well, it is required that you have a softener before the whole house filtration.
Okay.
Yeah, because the whole house system will be overloaded if you don't basically take all those hard minerals and the softener breaks them down into finer particles.
Okay.
And then the system can handle it. But yeah, you would clog a whole house system in a month with a well.
Right. Oh my goodness. So if you have a well, this is definitely something you should look into.
So you said then you have to start with the softener. What does the softener actually do? I know it technically softens the water and it's taking out those harder.
It feels softer.
Chemicals? Okay.
That's why they call it a softener, because the water is softer. It's less callous and hard, right?
Okay.
So hard minerals, right? It's gonna basically reduce them, take them out, and these systems require salt. They do take some maintenance. So if you're on a well, it's just going to be a little more comprehensive and more expensive than if you're on city water. So.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
And then I guess other types of things that you can see in your water if you don't have a filtration is oily film atop, the standing water. If you have a glass of water and you set it down and there's oily film over the top, that's how you can also tell, that there's chemicals and things in it. We mentioned the chlorine scent, but then also rust, right? Rust from the piping and things like that. We mentioned it. Some of these pipes are up for 40 years, right?
40, 50, 60 or more, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, you know what I mean? There's probably a good amount of rust in some of these pipes that are going into people's houses and stuff like that they're absorbing that. And that, in and of itself, if you look at cars, rust is the cancer of cars, right? Once you get rust on there, it's
vehicles.
Yeah. So it's huge. It's important. So many different things in your.
If you can't affect the pipes themselves, you might as well affect from the point where it enters your home into all the outlets where you're getting it in your home. That's what you can control, is putting in the whole house filter, where then anything that you're using inside of that area is now, it's safe. It's safer than it normally would be. Yeah.
Yep. I'm interested, because this is one thing that we are, we pay attention to, what we're eating most of the time. And then, next thing is water. And we like to think, hey, we try to choose the best water. But again, it's this plastic water. And, as we're moving, that's one thing I'm thinking about as well. It's like, even, in different areas that you're moving from, because we live in Fairfax County right now, you would think the water is good because it's a pretty affluent community
area. Yeah.
But when you look at what's in the water, when you put your zip code in, it's all the same stuff. So you know what I mean? You're not above it living in a nice area or wherever you're living. It's out there, and you really have to do the research to make sure you're protecting your family and yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. You mentioned the thing about the water in the holding tanks, and I know that all of this is going on underground, so I don't trust it. I can't see it, so I don't trust it. And the only thing that I know is, you can do filtration for your air, your water, and it just makes sense.
Yeah.
I did air first just because of my allergies and everything. And I think air is the hardest one for people to buy into because you can't see it.
Yeah.
Unless you get that ray of sunlight that comes in that kind of exposes all the particles and all that stuff. But it's not like you can see, your furniture off gassing because it came from China and it has all this terrible stuff in it.
Don't even get me started.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of why I'm like, okay, if you're going to address this stuff, don't go all in on this crazy water system that costs 10, 20 grand.
Right.
Because you can spend $50,000 just on water filtration. It's just, it's crazy how complex and those systems are the ones that need all the maintenance too.
Yeah.
Because they got too many moving components. It's like, just get a standard whole house system so that you can spend some more money on the air filtration.
Right.
Let's just reduce toxic load from all angles.
I agree.
Instead of trying to be so perfect with what I eat and then I can't breathe in my house. It's
right.
Yeah.
Huge.
Little by little.
Spread it around.
Little things. Just little steps.
Yeah, because you think about it, in the food, you're like, no chemicals. I don't want any hormones. I don't want any antibiotics. I don't want all that stuff in my food.
You don't want chemicals.
But what about your water?
VOCs, anything like that in there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people tend to, especially, the older you are, the more you're going to be in the camp of, well, I played in the dirt my whole childhood. Nothing happened to me. Well, I drank tap water well, guess what? 20, 30 years ago, there was not the toxic load in your air and your water supply that's in there today. And it's going to progressively get worse as humans. There's more of us. We use more chemicals. We produce more chemicals. Therefore, there's going to be more of it. And that's why cancer rates, all these things, they go up over time.
Yep. Yeah. And to add on top of that, a lot of this information wasn't out. You talk about, 40, 50 years ago, a lot of these things are now coming to light because of the amount of, like you said, people that are shown to have cancers and things like that. It's a huge deal now because we're finding out, this is where it's coming from. And if we have the ability to identify it, then we have the ability to change it. And if you can change it, then, there'll be other things, but start with your air, your food, and your water. Yeah. And then you can, like you said, reducing the toxic load, at least like how we eat 80% of the time. Yeah. Right. If you can, because you're going to go out, you're going to go to different places. They're probably mixing, water and different things that you're eating or whatever. But for the most part, as long as you can, in your cocoon, your home where you're at for a good percentage of the time, identify it there, and then, let the rest of it be what the rest of it's going to be.
You spend a lot of your time there. Obviously, you spend time doing other things, vacation, work, stuff like that. But you spend the majority of your time at home. So why not, like you said,
especially
slowly
now,
attack the air, the water, all these little things to put yourself in a better position. We keep talking about it, and we'll continue to talk about it.
Yeah. It just reminded me of the next important one. The mattress.
Sleep. Yeah, I've been totally neglecting that one, and that's right there with food, water, and air.
Someone would argue that it's the most important.
Yeah.
But that would be a long argument because a lot of these things are huge.
That would be a long, drawn-out argument. They're all very, very, very important. But yeah, maybe that's another one we can talk about on an upcoming episode, because that's another one that I think, we're both interested in, but I think a lot of people, don't know a lot about the education behind the quality of the mattress. And then we could even get into grounding and all the different components that go along with it. I think it's even deeper than what people think.
Tons of benefits. So without getting into mattresses and the benefits, while we're on the topic of just toxic load, the number one reason is most mattresses, especially foam mattresses, are made from oil-based foams. They are off-gassing chemicals into your face while you're sleeping. Wow. So again, if I have an air purifier in the room, it's going to reduce that. But I still would like to buy a mattress that was made with health in mind, that doesn't have all those chemicals in it.
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah. It's huge. I think we found our next topic.
Do a mattress next week?
Yeah. Right?
Awesome. Well, yeah. I mean,
I found something here that says like, contaminated water and poor sanitation are linked to transmission of diseases such as diarrhea, dysentery, hepatitis A, typhoid, polio, cholera. Like all those things are linked to poor drinking water, contaminated water. So not just cancers, but like, there's a bunch of different things that are affecting your health just from the water that you're drinking. And you may blame it on something else. You know what I mean? You could be thinking, hey, inflammation in general, right? Hey, I'm doing everything right. Why am I not seeing any results?
Yeah.
This could be one of those things where, you just tweak it, you make a little tweak, and it's like, why wasn't I doing this a long time ago? You know what I mean? But you got to start somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing to me, whether it's through your food, through the water, the glyphosate, it's there.
Yep.
Like it's there. And it not only kills everything in the field when they're raising stuff, spraying the glyphosate, but when you ingest these foods, the water, it literally kills your gut bacteria.
Yeah.
Like your good gut flora. So
yeah,
if there's no other reason, it's just we're going to eliminate glyphosate from your body.
Yep.
You heard it here, folks.
That's a big one, because even if you live close to these places where they're actually growing this food,
farming,
like it carries in the wind.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? There's the farmers that I think, there was a couple that I was like reading up on that are like literally trying to get the word out there, but also, trying to find like a way to stop this because it's still going on. You know what I mean? With these pesticides and
that's
those
the
kind of
craziest part.
Yeah.
I every time I see one of those commercials on TV with like the lawyer, like if you worked in a field with Roundup, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, whatever, call us because like class action, and they're still using this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it's still happening.
Yeah.
But we know it's killing people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some people are trying to argue, you know what I mean, that because it's like, it's a weed killer, so like it's a lot quicker for them, essentially to cut corners, to be able to like, again, bigger, fatter, faster, cheaper, right? So if you go that route and you're supporting those products, this is I get really passionate about it because it's like if you support that, they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And if they keep doing it, we're going to keep seeing the problems. Like you said, they've already noticed that this is exactly where it's coming from, right? This is where it is. And if we don't identify it and we don't vote with our dollars, it's going to keep happening.
That's 100% it. We are in a new era where the only way to create change is to vote with your dollars.
Yep. You need to speak up, and that's one way that gets people's attention, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Just don't support it.
Yeah.
So, and drinking water is at the top of it. Like you said, along with the whole health, your drinking water is one thing that you should be identifying, that you should be figuring out, hey, this is what and it's a work in progress. I'm not downing anybody who's not. I'm saying that if you're not, maybe it's something you should be looking into for the greater good of your family, for yourself, just life in general. Like you want to be a good, product. So you have to be identifying these things, and it's a slow and steady pace.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing at a time, right? Like I didn't get all these things overnight.
Exactly.
And now I'm looking at, okay, what's the next thing? Should I do red light therapy and invest in that?
Yeah.
Should I get one of these, the chili thing on your mattress top that like optimizes your sleep?
Yeah.
There's so many things you can do. So don't get frustrated with getting started.
Yeah.
Just add in one healthy choice, fix one part, and then when you're ready, fix the next one. And it's a progression that'll never end.
Right.
One component at a time. And then, like you said, as you are learning, you're just going to learn something new that you didn't know before. You're going to learn more, and it'll just grow from there.
Yep. Especially if you're one of these people, you know what I mean? You're working a 9 to 5 and you're on the go and you're steady. You know what I mean? Like in terms of performance, these things are going to impact that, right?
Yeah.
In a good way. Identifying these health concerns. If you're, like you're saying, lack of energy or, eczema on my skin or, I don't think it's
allergies.
Medicine, you know what I mean? That's going to cure that. I think that's like something that's going to help you, and I'm not saying for everyone. I'm saying for some things, right? And I'm not a doctor, so don't take my advice as like, as actual physician. But I think a lot of these things are easily identified, and then if you substitute it for this clean drinking water or clean food or mattress and all those kind of things, like it's going to help either way. Whether you're taking medication for allergies or whatever, all those kind of things, like it helps to do these things, and maybe you won't need those medications in the long run. And I think that's, that should be the goal for anybody that is taking medication.
Justin, you always say it, lowering your toxic load, right? Just one step at a time.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, there's a lot of things I regret in life, but I have never regretted investing in my health. Never once.
Right.
Drop a bomb for that one.
There you go.
So true. And we'll continue to talk about all of these different things that, you can learn about and that you can, learn more about if you're interested in food, water, air, sleep. We'll go through all of them.
I do have one more question. Sorry, Justin. So if you do have the water filtration, does it do anything to like maximize the efficiency? Like is it like, I guess, are you using less water in some things because of the filter, or like does it have anything to do with that, or is it just
it doesn't affect your water pressure? That's a common thing people ask. If you do have a water system that's affecting your water pressure, something's wrong. A filter needs to be changed, or maybe it's just a bad system. So yeah, it does matter what system you buy. It should not interrupt your water pressure at all. You shouldn't be able to tell. Now, Rainsoft does say that because the water's softer, you need to use less detergent. You don't need as much. Right. In fact, you could use no detergent at all because the water's so clean. So yeah, it could reduce the amount of products that you need to use. But yeah,
sweet. I mean, I guess that's a positive there, right? So
yeah, if again we're talking about skin and sensitivities and things like that, right? Yeah. So if you have issues with that, then that would be just another benefit that you'd be adding along with the fact that the water would be softer. It would also be cleaner, so you could clean your clothes, especially if you have like washers and dryers that have like steam features and things like that. You would just clean it with your softened water, and you don't need to use detergents and harsh chemicals.
Cleaner clothes.
Yep.
Who would argue with that?
Yeah. I don't think anyone. All right. Well, this has been very insightful. And Justin, unless you have anything else, I think you can go ahead and send us off until next week.
No, I'm just excited to keep keeping it healthy.
Yep. Definitely.
All righty. We'll be back next week. And as always, stay healthy with Heartland.